The old tower may be getting rebuilt for future content and could be available as soon as next season. Today we're going to discuss this tower's reconstructions, what secrets we know on next season, what we're getting for sure, and much more. Let's first start with what we know on the next season, and then we'll dive into a look at the possible tower return with some cube maps found in the game. So the first thing we know is that next season is apparently called Season of the Chosen. We know for sure that we're getting two strikes. One of them is the Fallen Saber strike coming back from Destiny 1, and the other I'm not sure, it may have been announced. If you know it, leave it down below, but something else is coming as well. Next to that, we'll be getting the full Cosmodrome, so I'm assuming the rocket yards and some of the areas near Rasputin's bunker. This would make sense given the Fallen Saber strike returning, giving us some of those Rasputin areas down below in his bunkers and things like that. We also know we could be getting some new Stasis aspects or fragments. If you look at your current abilities, there is some empty spots there, and I believe Bungie has addressed that in the past. Confirmed in the latest Bungie Weekly update, we'll be getting Reissued Dreaming City, Reverie Dawn, and the Moon Dreambane armor sets. Alongside that, 4 reissued weapons for the Dreaming City with new perk pools: Waking Vigil, Sleepless, Vouchsafe, and Retold Tale. Like the armor, we'll also be getting 4 reissued weapons for the Moon with new perk pools: the Premonition, which is Pit of Heresy only, Heretic, Blasphemer, and Apostate. Something else also mentioned previously, which will be coming out in Season 13, is expanding the legendary lost sectors to the Moon with the 4 lost sectors located there. I think this is a pretty cool idea. Instead of just rotating on Europa there, why not open it up to other lost sectors and give us some more variety? Legendary lost sectors were a challenge for sure when Beyond Light came out, and it was a grind because I myself wanted that Mask of Bakris, and having these legendaries tied to those lost sectors is a pretty cool idea in my opinion. It gives you something to go for, and it makes those activities worth doing. Bungie also stated we'll be getting 2 unique weapon rewards for each playlist, so Gambit, Crucible, and Strike, so 6 total. These will have a chance to drop after the activity, and these will also be able to be seen on their respective vendors. Next to that, it also seems there's a progression system on a per ritual basis, so you can see all the ranks here. You'll get some upgrade modules, enhancement cores, pretty much the usual materials and things like that alongside the armor you'll be getting from that vendor. Now I'm sure there's some stuff I missed, and if I did, let me know down below, but here is the last thing we currently know is confirmed, the symbol for next season, which is this. So this could be many things, we'll discuss a little later. Many think it's the tower, some think it's related to the House of Light. We're kind of unsure at this current moment. But let's talk about the story next. The big question is, what is this story going to involve for the next season called the Season of the Chosen? So we have a couple of ideas that the community has been kicking around, and here are some of those. First, we know how this season is going to end, besides a possible secret mission coming soon to reveal those last 2 Warden triumphs, if there is one. This season, Xivu Arath invaded, and her cryptoliths infected the enemies of the city, brainwashing them under her command and making them Wrathborn. We killed the High Celebrant so these cryptoliths could no longer be placed, but it seems some are still out there and lingering for us to go ahead and wipe out. Season of the Chosen could be a continuation of this plotline to some extent, leading into the next season after that, and then eventually Witch Queen. Let's first talk about Cabal and the Wrathborn Cabal. Thanks to Osiris's dialogue you can hear in Zavala's office, we know that the Cabal were also infected and turned into Wrathborn, but we haven't seen them at all.
I stayed on the reef to further observe those hive-enraptured Cabal. They did not rest, simply spent hours kneeling before the structure. Sometimes they screamed, other times they cried, but mostly they were just silent.
It is said that the remaining Cabal Red Legion rally under or were attempting to rally under Cabal, who is Callus's daughter, when these cryptoliths started infecting them. From a clip in the Vidoc for Beyond Light, we can also see Zavala and Osiris are speaking next to some Cabal about the Darkness ships, presumably. This hasn't been seen in game so far, so either something for the end of the season is going to happen to tie this into the next, or it was cut content and it's not going to happen at all. To add to this further, in the Crow's dialogue, he says, "I plan on sticking around just a little longer. We need to clear out the remaining Wrathborn before the cryptoliths decay. That could take weeks, possibly months." Now, Crow says this despite us freeing him in that cutscene. You know, he's free to go and doing what he wants, but he's staying with the spider, but that's not the point.
Fly away and get the hell out of my lair. Poor investment.
The way I see it, either Aldrin is here until the end of the season, or maybe we'll need to go to him once more to take down Cabal Wrathborn next season. For example, what if something like the Cabal somehow found the Leviathan drifting in space and they were infected with Wrathborn, now infecting Callus's ship? Of course, we don't know where his ship currently is after the Darkness Pyramid ships invaded, but from the lore we can tell that Kaito's plan was to capture Callus, so you never know if this could be the case. Maybe her forces became corrupted and now they're heading for that Leviathan somewhere. The other big theory you'll see floating around out there is the fallen House of Light. The House of Light is a fallen house that believes in living alongside humanity and the Traveler instead of fighting against them, to live with peace. The first sighting of this house was around the 0-hour mission in the tower, where Mithrax and his followers led an attack on Aramis, much like we did in that same mission. In Beyond Light, if you played the campaign as well, we also helped evacuate some of these Fallen that were in this situation to join the House of Light after Aramis began using the darkness. They didn't want to use the darkness, they saw what was going wrong there, so we helped this skiff escape, and now they're joining the House of Light. And the last bit of information we know is that Varix tells us that the House of Light are on Earth. We don't know where, and it makes sense because they're siding with humanity, but yeah. Next to that, I don't have too much more evidence on how this could tie into next season. We do know we're getting that full Cosmodrome, so perhaps they set up near the rocket yards or something like that where the House of Kings were, and maybe they tie into that Saber Strike returning somehow. Whatever next season is though, my guess is that it'll tie into the current and then eventually branch into the Witch Queen. So continuing that Cabal Wrathborn would be fine with me as long as it's not the main focus mechanics wise. Like, we want new activities to play and goals for the gameplay. We don't want to just kill Wrathborn again and be doing the same old thing. There would need to be something in there to spice it up or something completely new in general. There's a lot of complaints about stuff being reused in Destiny from Destiny 1, and we don't need to be reusing enemies from the previous season. Now let's move on to a possible look at the return of the old tower. The images and little clips you're seeing here are thanks to Mont Even, who created a website where you can analyze Destiny's cube maps. Now, a cube map in game development is basically a way of mapping the environment onto 6 sides of a cube. This is a pretty cheap way to use the environment to produce reflections in other areas of the game instead of ray tracing them, for instance. So for example, when you look through a character's visor or through a scope, sometimes you'll see a completely different environment from where you currently are, and these are the cube maps giving you those reflections. So these screenshots of these environments are sometimes never used for actual play spaces, so keep that in mind when looking at these. There are many Destiny 1 cube maps found on this website for Destiny 2 that of course aren't playable spaces like Crucible maps and things like that. So with that said and out of the way, here's a look at some of the images found that could be a reconstruction of our old tower into a new one. We first have the courtyard, which in Destiny 1 looked like this. Then a hangar looking type area. And a docking area down below the tower. If you look up, you can see it up there. Now, I'm not sure what this would have been used for. It would have been cool if it was like our own personal room and area to save our achievements and weapons and things like that, but you never know. What we do know is that there is new scaffolding that has appeared around the old tower in the recent seasons, making it seem like it's under construction. Next, many think that the season image, this one right here, looks like the new tower. Although this does look super cool and could be a new social space soon, here is some concept art from Dorje Belbrook for Destiny 2 that looks very similar and never made it into the cut, he says. So in my opinion, it looks like this was a tower for Destiny 2 that got scrapped. They could have saved it and could be bringing it back now for revamping and fixing up the old tower, or it's not coming back at all and these are just cube maps and old data used for reflections and so on. Maybe they never removed it from their files. But definitely let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think we're getting this reconstruction of the old tower into this new design? And what does this season logo look like to you? Is it a fallen house, the new tower, or something completely different? It'd be cool to see the old tower return. We've all wanted this for a very long time, but what would happen to the old one? I mean, would it get destroyed? Is it just sitting there? Are there two social spaces? That wouldn't really make sense given the farm is still in the game and we never go there anyway. But if you'd like to see some more videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, my name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.